Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh Jamal.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته Sheikh Hussein.
Barakallahu feek. May Allah reward you for joining me on the Ridwanullah Money Show.
Thank you for having me.
Ameen, ameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it a means of benefit for me and you and the rest of the viewers, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Um, so we talked about life, right? Specifically for you as graduating the University of Medina. Now we're going to try to look at the money aspect of it. So you shared, as we were coming here, there's something interesting that you shared with me about money. Do you remember that, or is there something else that you probably have in mind regarding money, of what your initial thoughts are about money?
I remember exactly.
Yeah, you said, I think it was something along the lines of, um, I may not have money, but I'm good with money. Do you remember that? Or?
No, I don't have much money, but
Yeah.
it's not a concern at the moment.
Okay. That was the interesting take, because it's like some people might say, okay, if if I'm concerned about it, then I have it, or I don't have it, or vice versa. So I guess just taking a step back, what are your thoughts on money, and what do you think about money?
My thoughts on money is, alhamdulillah, this from Allah Azza wa Jal.
Yeah.
And the Sahaba, there's known that the Sahaba, the Sahaba that were rich. And even before that, we have the dua of Sulaiman alayhi salam. Right, him.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned he asked Allah to grant him that which is not been granted to anyone, that which will not be granted to anyone after him. Even in that case, it's, it's something, when used correctly, praiseworthy. And as I mentioned, it's, I wouldn't say taboo, but it's like a topic that's not really discussed as here in America, as it is in other countries. Some countries are very open about it. But alhamdulillah, it's something that, when used correctly, it has barakah. Mm-hmm. And it's something that can be benefited from. I need to pray themselves, Muslims in general, families as a whole. Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned a hadith that to leave your family with something is better than to leave them begging. So from a dunya aspect and from a deen aspect, money is good.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking to that point of like even the taboo of it, just the hesitation and trying to be careful around the topic of money and talking about money, because there's a lot of different thoughts and of that nature regarding money, and the fact that you mentioned the positive aspects of money, that's a powerful way to think about it, right? But for those who have negative thoughts or beliefs about money, what are your thoughts regarding that, the negative aspects of money?
I think it would come to that they're taking our ideas of money and the like from, like, I would say, Western influences or how they grew up. Yeah. They don't have a broad aspect of money. Mm-hmm. Yani money is something that's frowned upon. Na'am, the asl is we were created to worship Allah. Yeah. But those that can have a broader understanding of that, they can use that to benefit them. But those that they're inclined to try to attain money, to try to increase in their money and the like, then they can use that in their benefit as far as worshiping Allah. Mm-hmm. Taking care of their families, first of all. Before we even get into sadaqah, there are certain things that can be used. They can use their money, attain money, or have a intention to attain money for, before we even get to sadaqah. The first one is taking care of themselves. There's a hadith from the Prophet that mentioned if a man has a nice shirt, then he should wear it. He should show that he has this. Yeah. And then after that, taking care of their families as a sadaqah for them. After that, taking care of relatives. There's a man who came to the Prophet and the Prophet told him, give sadaqah. Yeah. So he said, I have a dinar. Yeah. So the Prophet said, give it to your wife and then give it to your child. And then in the end, he said, you know best what to do with it. Mm. So also the Sahaba, they had wealth, alhamdulillah. After the relatives, given to your neighbors and the like, brothers, friends.
Yeah.
And then after that, giving sadaqah to the masajid, helping with the deen. And then also there are certain projects given to like students of knowledge, for example,
Yeah.
sponsoring students of knowledge to go seek knowledge in the
Yeah.
like. So, yani, in a general sense, there's nothing wrong with wanting money, wanting more money, to increase in money. As long as it remains within the confines of the Sharia, it doesn't take you away from the obedience of Allah.
Yeah.
So if you're able to figure out a way to attain money and you're still keeping up with your five salawat, you're still keeping up with your duties as a Muslim,
Yeah.
then alhamdulillah, by all means, go for it.
Yeah.
And the ummah, of course, the Muslims, they need money.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
more of, relieving ourselves from the negative kind of connotations of, those that are chasing after money, they're not religious people, or they're not focused on the deen,
Yeah.
and more so broadening your understanding of what can I use this money for,
Yeah.
and how can I use it to benefit me and benefit the Muslims as well. I'm not someone who's studious, I'm not someone who studies, but at the same time, I can read Quran, alhamdulillah. You don't leave off the deen aspect to chase money. If you can blend the both together, and it can be done.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
That's my, understanding of money, basically.
And that's really good, because that's really the right answer, because you need to have that balance, right? And I think that's why, even I don't know if you can sense my uncomfortability of talking about money, but it's good to hear it from an Islamic perspective with somebody who has Islamic knowledge, having graduated. You haven't graduated from the University of Medina, mashallah. Because I'm pretty sure your perspective on money, like the first phase of your life, is different than the second phase of your life, and then the current phase of your life, right? So, and I think you even mentioned in the beginning about the debt that was kind of holding you personally from pursuing Islamic knowledge. What can you tell me about that phase of life, and the portion of accumulating those types of debts and amounts of debt?
So most of it is personal.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, because I did go to university,
Yeah.
or college here in America, took out student loan, um, car, other things. I did accumulate a number of things. In my defense, in the beginning, I did have a misunderstanding. Of course, I grew up Muslim, alhamdulillah, so I knew riba, of course, interest is not permissible.
Yeah.
In my defense of ignorance, I honestly thought that riba becomes impermissible if it's added to the bill. So as long as I'm on time with my payments, then it's not impermissible. I didn't know that merely signing a contract is haram. It's not allowed.
Signing a contract with riba.
With riba, no.
Potential riba, even.
No, potentially. So like 0% APR for 12 months.
Okay.
But the fact that if you don't pay it off in those 12 months, that 13th month hit, riba comes.
All that back added.
Now, all the entire contract becomes haram.
Yeah.
Also that, even if you make monthly payments, interest is still going to come until the entire balance fails. So these are things I didn't know.
Yeah.
Ignorance is not an excuse, but in my defense, these are things I didn't know when I first embarked upon trying to go to university.
Yeah.
So of course, my first phase dealing with money and having these debts and working is to pay them off, and also to be able to take care of myself and help out family as much. So my first phase one of money and working and all that was like everyone else. Trying to make money to pay my bills, pay off my debts, and whatever extra money I have, used to travel often. Locally in my car, I used to drive a lot.
Yeah.
So make sure I have
the
gas
spontaneous
money.
Driving. I still remember that.
So just make sure I have gas money to, go somewhere over the weekend.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. And what were the types of debt that you've accumulated?
Mainly student loans. Student loans, car loans.
Okay. Those are the only two, or you had more?
Others.
Okay.
So, a portion of why I had debts is personal.
Okay.
So if I delve into it, then I have to give like explanation
on the details of that. Okay.
But the main ones were student loans.
Okay.
Student loans and then my car.
Okay.
Those were the main ones that pushed me over 100K.
Over 100K.
Over 100K.
Okay. Yeah, and I know you mentioned that in the first live show, in the Ridwanullah live show, but regarding the money. So I had a lot of questions regarding that, but I wanted to save it for this show because this is more
And
about money, and it's okay to touch on money in the first show, but to dive deeper into it, and that's what I wanted to know. Are you still in debt, or are you debt free currently?
this goes back to dua.
Yeah,
So, alhamdulillah, the 2 years, 2017 and 2019,
yeah,
I did my best to pay off like the smaller loans.
yeah.
I also managed to pay off my car, alhamdulillah.
Mashallah.
And then as far as the student loans, I made dua to Allah to remove them from me.
Mm-hmm.
And I applied as well for loan forgiveness
Yeah.
because my university actually closed down. They got closed down by the.
Mm-hmm.
So alhamdulillah, that answered my dua. The loans were removed. Not everyone had their loans forgiven, alhamdulillah. So I was from, I don't know, from the few or the most, but I'm from the group that their loans were.
Mashallah.
And then my final loan, I don't know what happened, except that Allah answered my dua.
Yeah.
I was sitting, remember, sitting in Mecca,
Yeah.
just hanging out at the Kaaba, inside the masjid, right? You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened, but I randomly took a look, and it was zero. It was very random.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah, I took a look at like the student loan account, and it was zero. And this one was actually a Parent Plus loan, so my mother signed it and all that. It was like my loan in her name, basically.
Yeah.
Parent Plus. And so I called her, messaged her. I don't know. It was really early in the morning, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Mom, did you do something? She said, No, I didn't do that. Can you check this? Can you log into this?
Yeah.
Can you call them and find out?
Yeah, verify.
And sure enough, it was you. And this is after she got declined for loan forgiveness. Because we both did it. I did it for my loan, she did it for her loan.
Yeah.
And I got accepted, alhamdulillah, she got declined. So I don't know what happened, but alhamdulillah, I was zeroed out. She even called them to confirm. They said, yeah, your account is zero. Yeah. So alhamdulillah, go back to that. So that's how my loans were removed. The car and the small loans, alhamdulillah. Even that, I mean, I wasn't working a high paying job. Yeah. And I had a lot of responsibilities under me. Yeah. But with the barakah of Allah, when still look back, I don't know how I managed to pay them off. But one day it was, I remember one, it was like 5,749. Yeah. And then a couple months later, zero. SubhanAllah. So talking down to the barakah of Allah. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah, I'm loan free, and as I mentioned in my previous statement, I have no one sins are in my pockets. Yeah.
MashaAllah. And I remember you sharing me parts of the financial story and the money story in Medina. And I don't think I shared this with you, but maybe I have. But I was thinking it's such a blessing to go after your like real dreams of seeking knowledge, but also to be blessed in the financial sense, not in terms of like abundance, but in terms of just being wiped out of the burdens. You know what I mean? And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, if he had stayed not pursuing his dreams of Islamic knowledge and scholarship, where would he be financially? You know what I mean? It's like within the span of those 7 years, you probably would have paid like half at most. That's just the way I'm thinking. Allahu Alam, right? Yeah.
Because the interest is designed to work against you, not for you.
Right.
So you pay, and then even on one of my loans, when I started looking into the details and trying to figure out what's really going on. I found that I was paying, I don't remember the exact amount, but it was well over $100, and less than $50 was going to principal. Everything else was going to. It's really designed to work against.
Yeah. And this is the intimate knowledge in terms of how it works financially as well as from the Islamic perspective and knowing why we should be avoiding it.
When Allah he commands with something, and you have to know, it's good, it brings good, and everything around it is good. When you prohibit from something, that is evil, or it leads to evil, or comes from evil. Yeah. So some people feel interest in something good, but the evil benefit. If the evil outweighs the good, that's from the wisdom to Allah that prohibited.
Absolutely. And that's a good thing to always keep in mind. Yeah. So what because we've all had debt, and obviously you're not the first or the last person to have debt, or alhamdulillah to go through having that debt relief, alhamdulillah. MashaAllah, and Allah continue to bless you in that aspect of it. What did having debt feel like, and what does having those debts being gone feel like now?
Felt like I was in prison.
Yeah,
It literally felt like I was in prison.
subhanallah.
I mean, yani, if I'm gonna be serious about being a good Muslim in
Yeah,
all aspects of the word,
so,
and I acknowledge the fact that interest is haram,
yeah,
I'm living every day in sin basically. I'm living sinfully. Every time I make a payment, I mean it's payment for something haram.
yeah,
I have that guilt. Also, that's from the deen aspect.
yeah,
From the dunyawi aspect, I can't really live my life how I want to, because it's all connected to making sure I have money to pay these these, these debts,
yeah,
mainly with interest. Yani, I mean, a debts are not loan is not haram in itself. There's nothing wrong with taking a loan.
yeah,
$1,000 loan, 100. There's nothing wrong with taking a loan.
yeah.
The only mushkila is the interest.
Mm.
So having that interest, yani, being linked to that, it really hinders someone. They're always thinking, and you always have to have money on you, especially if you're really trying to pay it off.
Yeah,
The thoughts are always money, money, money.
yeah,
But it's just now that I have no more loans, specifically with interest,
yeah,
then it allows me to think clear. I feel like I have more freedom to do what I would like to do.
yeah.
Now, of course,
You're not in bondage.
Now,
Yeah,
I would like to work. I would like to have a good income.
yeah,
However, I don't have to have a good income. If I have a decent income where I can take care of myself, take care of my family, alhamdulillah, period. But the fact that I don't have to pay anyone else, and again, I'm mainly refer to interest.
yeah,
Interest.
yeah.
The fact that I don't have to do that, I mean, it's a good relief.
Mashallah.
If I take a loan for a car, yeah, Muslim or something like that,
Without interest.
without interest,
Yeah,
it's just like any other deal.
yeah, yeah,
Alhamdulillah, I'm paying this. There's no sin on me.
yeah,
If I die tomorrow, alhamdulillah. Also, there's a hadith where the Prophet he mentioned now about believe there's a loan, not an interest. And someone who dies and he owes back a debt, his soul is held
until that
until
debt.
that debt is paid off.
That's the hadith that kept coming up in my head regarding debt, as you were mentioning.
So this is something that's permissible.
Yeah.
How much more someone dies with riba?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, these are things now that once you free yourself from the riba, you feel like you're not imprisoned anymore.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, statistically speaking, most Americans are in debt. You live in America, you're most likely in debt.
Mm.
And 99% of the debt here in America is riba based.
Yeah.
So it's something that Allah that many people, also from the Muslim world, affected by. But the goal is to acknowledge, first of all, and acknowledge that into the best to free yourself from. And America is designed around you have to have a loan and you have to have.
Otherwise, you can't survive.
No, that's not true. And you have non-Muslims that actually, go by that prove that no, you can actually survive and thrive financially in America without having credit cards and without having interest rate loans or without having interest rate mortgages.
Yeah.
It's possible still.
Absolutely. And that's the positive message that we all need to hear, because sometimes we can get into the marketing schemes and believe what we're being marketed to, that you cannot survive without it, like you mentioned. So to hear that directly and firmly, it is very, very beneficial to hear. Mashallah.
I know in Utah specifically, there's a big thing here about buying a house.
Yeah.
And so many people, they will buy a house before they buy a car.
Yeah.
Big thing about buying a house.
With riba.
With riba.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, you don't have to buy a house. There's
Yeah.
Muslims that argue, I can't do rent, I can't do rent, I can't do rent. And alhamdulillah, if you do rent and you pass away, you meet Allah, you're not held accountable for it.
Right.
You really want to risk meeting Allah with a sin because you had to buy a house. You have to think, like your financial thoughts should be within the kifayah of the Sharia. And also we look at the adillah. There's we have like scholars that mention they try to give exceptions to riba and all that. But other scholars, bigger scholars, have looked and said, no, there's no exception. No exception. You're able to survive in the life you live, renting or whatever the case is, not taking anything. I mean, you don't have any excuse. There's no extenuating circumstance. And alhamdulillah, there are Muslim countries where you can go and buy property. I want to leave something for my children. There are Muslim countries. It may not be the country that particular person they want.
Right.
But there are Muslim countries where the economy is stable, there's no wars or anything like that.
Yeah.
Where they can buy actual land, actual property. It just takes a bit of effort.
Yeah.
So it's about having a broader understanding of money and finances and just having that taqwa of Allah.
Yeah.
You know, make a way out for
Yeah.
one who wants to buy a house and wants to have these guys to be able to do it without falling into sin.
Absolutely. And I think your story is a testament to that verse because you pursuing the pleasure of Allah and seeking knowledge and scholarship, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has relieved you of a lot of burdens that would have took longer to get rid of in a sense.
I know there's other students that encounter the same thing.
Yeah.
They glad, they made that struggle with a lot of that. Hated them.
Yeah.
Hated them from
Yeah. And that to me, man, is nothing less than a miracle to me, you know. Allahumma barak. That's literally to me, it's like, yeah.
Sitting under 100K and seeing the number.
Yeah.
97,000 and then 0.
Yeah.
It's, something that's unbelievable.
in Mecca and Medina out of all the places.
Hey, no.
So it's like, it's a huge lesson and you know, it gives someone hope that there is major solutions, even or especially financially. Let's not even talk about the life aspect of iman and taqwa and all of these other stuff that is more important than any financial gain or anything else. But even in the financial sense, Allah looks out for people who look out for His deen.
Yeah. Do what He makes it. Allah is the provider.
Yeah.
The possessor of quwwah, strength.
Yeah.
Comes back to when making dua, you have to have etiquette.
Yeah.
Etiquette is knowing these names and attributes and having certainty.
Absolutely.
I'm living here in America where we have to change our mindset and like being debt. And by debt, 99% of time when I say debt, I mean with interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to be in debt with interest, have to take these loans. We don't have to. And as I mentioned, there's even non-Muslims now that are fighting that narrative that I can live without.
Absolutely. And that's something that we need to hear over and over again because the messaging is opposite of the truth in it. And not to get into like the conspiracy or probably truth of the overall scheme of how to control and manipulate society and all of this other stuff. You know, I picked up this book called The Financial Matrix that I recently read and finished, and it was talking about how this is all a tool of bondage, a tool of manipulation, a tool of control, you know? So it's important to just even know how to make it out of that reality, to understand, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to save us from bondage, and these institutions and realities are trying to keep us in bondage, which makes it easier to control and easier to manipulate. And you know what I mean? So it's an important lesson what you're saying, like stay away from this and you know live a life debt free and everything else. And obviously, the permissible debt has this rate. Now imagine what the impermissible weight, which is equal to going to war with Allah and His Messenger. You know,
it's a scary thing. Definitely. When you put everything into perspective, you reflect on it. Allah He didn't prohibit it. No reason. There's a reason about it.
Yeah.
You hear many people they complain about it. I mean, having a loan is difficult. But now that you're supposed to get into that's bullying. At the end of the day, that's oppression. That's oppression.
Yeah.
And Allah He mentioned, I have prohibited oppression upon myself, and I have prohibited between.
Yeah.
There's many different angles where interest is not. Yeah. With that, with a bit of struggle, yeah, I mean, there's many avenues where you can get and do things in a halal manner, completely halal manner. And even things that you may want to do but you're not able to do when you look at it, you really need it. And he really wants to buy a house in America. Especially if they're from a Muslim country, especially if they're from an area where there's not conflict and all that going on.
Yeah.
You have options. So you really have to come to a habit of Mm-hmm. Those are very-
Absolutely. Yeah. Before we get into the other aspects of finances, whether it's in general or specifically, one thing I wanted to know, you've been in Medina for 7 years, having come back now. People who have the dream of seeking knowledge in Islamic scholarship, one of the things that could potentially stop them or actually stops them is financial and money concerns. So, what has been your experience with that, either before, during, or maybe after? I know it's a loaded question, but I just wanted to gain your insight of what your mindset was regarding Islamic, not seeking Islamic knowledge and scholarship before you went. What were the financial concerns and thoughts that you had, and maybe during your studies?
And before I went, it was just a matter of how to continue making payments.
Okay. Yeah.
Taking it's knowing that you get a stipend specifically in other universities.
Yeah.
Very low stipend. If you put it in dollars, so it won't help out.
Yeah.
So that was my concern.
Okay.
And I had a plan. I mentioned it. I didn't really have a time frame.
Yeah.
But my plan was if it gets to where I have to continue making payments, then I'll leave and come back and find a job and continue.
Yeah.
But as far as while they're studying, I'm getting my situation. As far as students go, there's many students that found opportunities and ways to make money.
Okay.
There's brothers that have like businesses. There's brothers that did work online,
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
There's brothers that found they would come back in the summertime and teach, and they would save up that money, and then they would use that when they went back.
Okay.
So there's many different methods and ways that brothers students found to make money. Some students who were taxi drivers.
Yeah.
Mainly students.
Yeah.
There were students that even like did local things. There were students that delivered food to students. There were students that delivered water bottles. They had like these the big 5 gallon water jugs. We would get those. There were students that would deliver those. So students found ways to make money.
Yeah.
And then those that they were able to suffice with the university stipend and suffice.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and that's a good summary of like ways to survive financially and going through the process. Um, is that something that is, I guess you said that you don't really focus on the students much, but just in general, is that something that you see finances become a hindrance of studying in Islamic scholarships, or is that something that's not a big concern?
By focusing on the students, I mean like personal life. But as far as their stories and our shared, situation, yeah, I focus a lot because there's a lot of lessons you can learn from them.
Okay.
There's a lot of lessons you can learn.
Yeah.
As far as what this guy is up to and what that guy is up to, yeah, something that's general,
Yeah,
you can learn from. So now, I mean, specifically coming from the West, students get used to a certain livelihood, and it's difficult to live that livelihood in the university type. Okay, we run out of money very quick. Along with that, we have books that we have to purchase,
yeah.
daily essentials and all.
And the scholarship does not cover that?
Yeah, scholarship doesn't cover books.
Okay.
Doesn't.
It covers the classes.
Now, specifically for Jamia Islamia, I don't know about others, but they give you extra money.
Yeah.
Like the Jamia dishes out a lot of money for students.
Okay.
When we work
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. They give us 1,000 reals every school semester for books. Okay. Now, for those that like reading, it's not enough. Yeah. Generally speaking, that is enough for books for studies.
For the study.
No. Yeah. So I can say they do give a stipend for.
Okay. No. And the tuition is covered.
The tuition is covered.
Okay. No, room and board.
Students don't pay anything related to the university except for food. Okay. The only thing they pay for as far as the university goes. Yeah. Day-to-day life in Jamia Islamia, only thing you're paying for is food. And maybe printing out the like study books. Some teachers they don't use books, they use like they call them lecturat. They're like printed pages of the book, bind it together. Yeah. So that students pay for. Okay. But room and board is covered, tuition is covered. If you want to take that 1,000 real for books are covered. If the books are covered. Yeah. Replication to and from Mr. Nebawi is covered. Okay. their outings, field events, and all that. Everything is covered, including food.
MashaAllah.
And so, alhamdulillah, the Jamia, they do have a huge financial investment in students.
Okay. So you are able to survive financially, keeping in mind the essentials.
Those students, they are able to send money back home.
With that.
Okay. These, of course, they are in poor countries.
So there's different.
Some students are able to send money back home and then survive off the rest in the Jamia.
Okay.
No, so it's definitely possible.
The exchange rate is a big factor.
Now,
right? Yeah. Okay.
It's definitely possible to survive on a university site.
Yeah.
In the way, definitely possible.
Okay. Okay. And what is the amount for the stipend? Is it monthly? Is it quarterly? Is it semester?
It's 840 hours monthly.
Okay.
It's about $200 or so in American.
Okay. And what is that expected to cover?
840 hours. This is your daily essentials. And clothes, taxi.
Okay.
Students in 4 places.
Yeah.
Food. I would say if a student was to buy the makam, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the entire month, if I remember correctly, it was only about 100, let's say 150 riyals.
Okay.
Say 140. And we were left with 600.
For the month?
For the month.
140 riyal for breakfast and lunch, you said?
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And dinner?
And dinner.
Okay.
For the month.
Yeah.
So if my math is right, that's 600 riyals for me.
Yeah.
700 riyals. 140.
Yeah.
Out of 840, 700.
Yeah.
Let's say many students, they don't even buy data. But I'm going to throw it in. Let's say a student has data. 100 riyals.
And this is cell phone debt?
No, cell phone debt.
Okay.
So that's 600 riyals for me.
Yeah. Good money. To do whatever else with it. Yeah.
So if they get like molecular or something like that, I say within the month, that's 50 riyals.
Yeah.
100. So they have 500 riyals.
Yeah.
So it's definitely able, and the student can definitely live off that site. They will have a modest living, but it's doable. And especially myself for a number of, I spent a long time there, alhamdulillah. I didn't have any income coming in. I don't really have that entrepreneurial mindset. So I wasn't looking for work. But I've survived off this cycle. I've survived.
So that's actually, I thought that it wasn't survivable. Like that wasn't a thing that stipend was not enough. That's what I thought for a long time.
For Western students, generally speaking, it's not.
Because of their management and expense
habits? Just because of their expenses, we need nicer things. We need better tasting food.
Yeah.
Surviving on rice and chicken on a daily basis is quite difficult, to be honest.
Yeah. Which is good for character building and actual students of knowledge.
No.
Good, well, not to say actual, but you get.
Good discipline. Yeah. From a healthy point, it's not that great for rice and chicken.
Yeah.
But it's possible. Students can definitely survive it. Yeah. Western students really they do need a little bit more. They do want the clothes or whatnot. But there are students that not only survive it, as I mentioned, they send some of that back home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't have the full amount and they're still surviving on it.
Yeah. MashaAllah. So is that different, like for an individual versus a family, somebody who has like wife and kids?
Oh, very different. Now, wife and kids, there are some Indonesian students that, because of the amount of students there, they do have some connections, alhamdulillah. So they are able to get like lower cost housing. And even the university has like food vouchers for married students.
Okay.
So if you register if you're a married student, you have your family there with you, the university will help you in that a bit.
In addition to whatever is already provided in the stipend.
Now, however, generally speaking, it's not enough. For married couples, because now you have to factor in bills.
Yeah.
When you're living outside the university, there's no
room and board.
No room and board for married couples. The university does have a place for married couples, but of course there's a long waiting.
Okay.
So married students, generally speaking, they will need to have some other sort of income.
Okay. Okay, but would you say an additional 800 per person would be enough, or do you think that's a different equation?
Wow, not married.
Yeah.
I didn't really ask any brothers like their financial situation.
Yeah.
I just heard from the one Indonesian colleague that he was paying, I forget the number, but it was really, really, really cheap rent.
Okay.
And he mentioned that like something that they worked out with the Indonesian, you know, like that's a company or corporation
Yeah.
that they worked out with Indonesian students to help.
Okay.
So it's extremely cheap.
Okay.
Um, like daily finances.
Okay. But it's not more like crazy number more than like,
Yeah.
let's say.
I mean, it depends on everyone's lifestyle. Some
Yeah.
people are able to live in conditions others aren't.
Yeah.
Also, the women, the sisters.
Yeah.
You know, so there may be you know, a student with his wife and child,
Yeah.
and they live in an area which is completely suitable for them, and maybe they are suitable for 1,500 riyals. Yeah, extra 800, 700. And then you have another student that they need an extra 2,000 riyals. Have to live comfortable. Yeah, everyone is different. Yeah, you know that opinion, how what they're used to in life. Yeah, mainly the women.
Yeah, yeah. Because for guys, we can literally live in a cardboard box and, you know,
and as
think like we're good.
I could live on the sofa.
Yeah.
You know, I can live in this place. I don't care.
Yeah. But when women come into the equation, it's a little bit of a different situation. Yeah. Yeah. But it's nothing crazy like different, right?
No.
It's obviously depending on different standards of living. No. But it's still within the couple of thousand range rather than 10,000s of the
a month. There are many different areas that students live in, knowing that have student housing and yeah.
What are the struggles that people usually have financially in being a student?
Everyone's different, but I would say generally speaking, for students, books.
Okay.
Because books are really expensive. Yeah. They've gotten even more. Yeah. But as a student, you have to. Yeah. And now I understand we're moving into more of a digital atmosphere. Yeah. Where a lot of students they use PDF, a lot of students they have digital books and all that. But for those that still like books, yeah,
the essential books, like in terms of just meeting requirements for classes, or the additional books?
Additional.
Okay. Yeah, additional. Okay. To continue your study, self-education.
You know, we say it as a joke that there are certain brothers you don't go into a bookstore with unless you have money. Because you will go in there broke, yeah, and you'll still manage to walk out with books. Yeah. And I don't mean you took the loan. So where that money came from, Allah, but you probably won't be eating tomorrow, the next day after. Yeah. There's brothers that they'll be on their last couple of riyals. Yeah. And they'll see a book. Right. They go their last couple of riyals. Yeah. And it's still a week before the new mukafat. So books are definitely a big thing. After books, then everyone is different.
Okay. What are some
food? It could be clothes.
Okay.
It could just be like items, random items. Yeah, everyone's different. Could be taxi. Taxi actually takes a lot of money.
It adds up.
No, that adds up very quickly. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And what are the delights financially? Like, what are some of the blessings being in Medina as a student? Like, what are some of the privileges of the financial privileges, would you say?
So as quick as possible, first of all, the university gives you a stipend. Yeah. Give you extra 1,000 riyals for books. They give you extra 1,000 riyals if you do very well, if you have a high GPA, 2 semesters. They have trips, free everything that I mentioned, food and all that, like Umrah trips. They fund certain small amount of students for Hajj. Yeah. They fund the students for Hajj. Then you have Ahl al-Khair. Ahl al-Khair are just, I don't know, it's not really a mu'assasah, but it's random people that give students money. They give students food. They also pay for students Umrah. I remember one time I got on a bus to go to Umrah. Yeah. The company paid them. And as we were headed out, he was doing the head count and getting the names and everything. And at that time he paid him, he said, no, it's been paid. Everyone is paid. So you have things like that.
From the school or just like a general donation?
It's like Ahl Khair. Ahl Khair are just random people.
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
Some students, they managed to find out. Yeah. But this is what I mean, like, I don't know students. I don't know, like, I'm not digging to find out who he is, what's his name.
Minding your business.
Nah, alhamdulillah. May Allah reward him and increase him. So that's why I'm like Ahl al-Khayr.
Yeah.
Just random people that come, you'll find just random people come to the university and you give out food. Mainly in Ramadan, but even outside of Ramadan.
Yeah.
They just come give out food.
Yeah.
I've heard, I don't think I've encountered it, but I've heard random people that just hand students money. There's actually a Sheikh in Masjid Nabawi who gives students money. Students know who he is. Like, I don't know who he is, but I've heard from one of the students, you go to him, he'll give you like sometimes 100 riyals. And then you have Otayr. Otayr.
Meaning?
Otayr is actually like he's a Sheikh there in Medina. It's an older businessman.
Yeah.
Known, very known amongst the students. Yeah. He's a very rich man. May Allah bless him. Very rich. He has like
that's his name or just
that's his name. No, that's like I guess the like name, but that's his name.
Okay. That's what he's known as.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. And every month he gives students mukafa as well.
Mukafa was
like stipend.
Okay.
So every month,
whoever goes to him, or
you have to go to him.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna say the day.
Yeah.
And I have a beef with this thing, to be honest.
Okay.
Because basically you'll wake up for Fajr
and
you'll see so many students awake.
Rushing.
Not rushing, no, but you'll just see them awake going to, at the beginning, and like in the, like, 2 years ago, there used to be cars that would come in the Jama. We used to allow them in. You see vans just driving around the Jama, just picking up students.
To take them to the
Now, initially you'll wake up and you're like, and then you remember which day it is.
Yeah.
So yani they'll go and basically they go to this huge park. Yeah. There's been changes now, but from what I remember, the huge park they go to. Yeah. And they'll close the gates once everyone is in, and then slightly open them and I think he's come as well. And those who are workers or whoever's helping them, they'll be outside the gate, and then every student comes out and they'll give them 150. Also, he has an office where you can go to and get money. Also, he sponsored students' Hajj. So those are the 3 main ones that I know. The Jamia, they have a huge financial investment students. Ahl al-Khayr, just random people who financially just help out students. I didn't open.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's good to know because some of these things I had no clue about.
Nah, these are like
inside
information. Yeah, it's more details, but that's generally speaking.
Yeah.
Once students come there, they'll find out immediately. Especially when they wake up on that particular day and they see everyone leaving the Jamia.
Yeah.
And we haven't even paid Fajr yet.
SubhanAllah.
So of course they're curious where'd everyone
go. The energy is different.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. Oh no, definitely.
Isn't it strange how money can? I mean, there's a natural thing, but then there's an extra thing.
I've explained to some students when I've talked to them.
Yeah.
And me personally, I mean, everyone does what they. I don't have a problem with it. I haven't went. I went once. Yeah. As a new student.
Yeah. Just to kind of see what's going on.
No, so I have went.
Yeah.
And I haven't went back. In all my years there, I didn't go back. But I explained to students actually, there are some students who need this money, need this help.
Yeah.
But there are many students that don't.
That are just there for the extra.
No, it's just money.
Yeah.
So those that don't need it, well, who am I to speak about?
Yeah.
But there are students that actually need and can benefit. I personally know brothers and brother, he said he has 7 or 8 kids back.
Yeah.
He's a student in Ghana.
Right. So this is an essential thing for them.
Yeah. Other students, they have their family with them.
Yeah.
They can use the help.
Right.
Other students, they need books.
Yeah.
Students that really like books.
Yeah.
They can use it. So now students have excuses.
Yeah.
I explain to them, those that don't really have an excuse though. Yeah. I know personally students that I'm like, you're good.
Yeah. But you're
financially good, brother.
Yeah. Which is not good in a sense because you shouldn't be taking something that is not essential from somebody. Work for it, but don't ask for it.
Just from just a talib ilm.
Yeah.
From that aspect.
Alhamdulillah. No judgment, right?
As long as he shows up for class. Because again, this is before Fajr. So generally, class time for those that start class at 8 o'clock, which is about thousands of students.
Yeah.
So it's normal for some students to arrive at 8.
Yeah.
So as long as he goes to class and don't go to his own. Yeah, he's probably better students.
Inshallah. And one of the things that was interesting for me in interacting with students from the University of Medina while I was in Medina is that majority of the people, you don't see them money hungry. From my perspective,
like students.
students.
No, no,
From what I've seen,
no, that's Sahih.
majority, and then whether they're struggling or succeeding, that's something else. But I haven't met money hungry students. But every once in a while, you do see somebody who is overly concerned with money, possibly even could be considered money hungry. I don't like to label people as that, but they're like falus, like I need money,
I've
money.
met maybe one student that had that ideology.
Okay,
Like,
so
there
you
are
see it as an
students there.
ideology.
Now, there are students there, but it's not so like alhamdulillah, these are things that are given to students. So
Yeah.
students view it as this is my right.
Yeah.
No problem with that.
Right.
This
Right.
is your right, you want to go get it, no problem.
Yeah.
But someone who's like heavily focused on money,
Yeah.
I've only ever met one student.
Okay.
And this gets more into like personal ideologies, I guess.
Yeah.
So alhamdulillah, there's brothers that have businesses. So they're focused on it. They're trying to keep up their business and all that. That's understandable.
Yeah.
But someone who's just like money, 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 and you're like a student, so you need to focus on study.
Yeah.
I've only ever met one student like that.
Okay.
He was trying to recruit me to do trading, I think it is.
Yeah.
I forget the exact term, but so he held me for almost an hour
Yeah.
trying to convince me. And there's a Western student,
Yeah.
and alhamdulillah, I know like students that don't eat at the university restaurant,
Yeah.
they have a little something in their pocket. Because eating outside the university is expensive. And
Yeah.
As a very quick.
I've seen the menu prices when you took me out and we went to go out. Alhamdulillah.
So it adds up very quickly for students. So a student who's eating out daily, or now a number of students they get hunger station. Hunger station very expensive. Like double the price.
Yeah. So, plus the delivery fee, if there is, or tips or whatever.
No, it's a delivery fee. No, I was about to use it once, and it was just cheap. I will spend money, but I'm cheap. So I saw the price. I was like, no, I'll just go to I was getting a bake. I'll just go to Al Bake myself. Yeah,
which is a fried chicken place for people who don't know.
No. That's fried chicken and Saudi. Yeah. Don't say otherwise if you're in Saudi.
MashaAllah.
But now, so students that are getting that, they're financially. But I've only ever met one student that's like constantly talking about it. I met him a number of times, and it was almost always about only one student ever. Generally, alhamdulillah, you don't see that. Students are, generally speaking, okay, respect. Money is not a big thing.
And that's good to have that pure, in a sense, pure intention. Obviously, if you can't help it and you have actual needs and wants, like you said. And I think that's
completely skewed. I know students personally that are struggling, that they don't show it yet. It's just through conversation. Yeah. That they'll mention it or something. Yeah. One I found out by accident. I was trying to sell a mudakkira, 15 riyals. Yeah. And student was like, just give it to me for free. I was like, why would I give it to you for free? Yeah. He's like, I need it, but I pay for it at the moment. Yeah. So just through conversation, I was like, okay.
Yeah, and it's not like an insincere thing. It's a sincere thing.
No, it's a sincere thing. So many students are very humble about it. Yeah. Very humble. Like you wouldn't know he's struggling with it. By the way, 8 kids. You never know he has 8 kids. Yeah. He's not going around creating that information out. And he mentioned to me, he was very frustrated because the prices in the university restaurant they actually went up. So they had this tier where you had to be from the first tier to get the normal prices. Yeah. And if you missed that, if you talk to thousands of students, very easy to miss, then you're paying 5 or 6 riyals. So he was complaining, it's like, all my money back home. I can't afford to eat, so I eat. Yeah. Through that, I found out about all these kids we had and all this. After that, I would have met. We actually shared a few classes. It wasn't until that moment, maybe I'm in my 3rd class with him now, so 3 or a year later, 3.5 later, you find, money is not the topic, maybe in private circles. On campus, just that one day. This is money day.
I mean, it's a good perspective to have because I think sometimes that could be a fitna for somebody, the financial aspect, the money thing. But one thing I'm appreciating you saying now is like, there's a difference between a student of knowledge that is an actual need. Is different than the person who's not in actual need, which is also different than the person who's an entrepreneur or some sort of a high level professional who has to care about this because it could be, very detrimental to their life. So just even knowing that there are these differences, hearing it even for me is important because I've been through situations where money, obviously money is always a concern, right? Especially if you're married with wife and kids and things of that nature and family responsibilities. But then there's a difference between, okay, you just have your job and that's, you're staying afloat versus you're responsible for a business, right? Now, alhamdulillah, I'm not like actually responsible for an actual business, but there were situations where, like, even if I tried to help it, I going to sleep, I'm thinking about the business. Waking up, because there's actual livelihoods that are involved in the situation. So knowing that there are these differentiations is helpful even for me because I might get into a season where money and finances and business is a primary priority, not a primary value, but a primary priority. So you breaking it down, I feel good about these different seasons of life. You know what I mean? Versus thinking, oh, I'm a bad Muslim that, I'm waking up 3 a.m. addressing a business issue when I probably wouldn't do that for the tahajjud or something like that. So just hearing that is beneficial. I don't know if you have additional thoughts or ideas regarding that.
One thought that came to my mind, which is definitely not what you're expecting,
Yeah.
is one of the times they mentioned,
Yeah.
the person who speaks in matters he's not skilled in will say strange things.
Okay.
So I'm not skilled in financial aspects and all that. I'm learning from you.
Yeah.
The best I can do is tie it back to the religion. That's what I. And one thing that comes to mind as far as religion about wake up early for business, not for ibadah.
Yeah.
Actually, two things. The first one is the Prophet you mentioned there's a time for this. Yeah, it's all about balance. I can't really give details on how to be financially or financial aspect of living a life. Yeah, but I can say if you have that balance. Maybe someone wakes up early for a business deal, business trip or whatever, struggling to get to the masjid. Yeah. I would say at least get to the masjid. Don't wake up at the head, at least make duha. So try to have that balance. That's the best I think. Yeah. Also, we have the qissa of Umar radiallahu anh and his neighbor. One used to go sit with the Prophet ﷺ, but then he would come back and inform the other of what he learned from the Prophet ﷺ, or the other stayed with the animals, the work. The business in another way. Yeah. So they were like, business partners slash review partners. Yeah. I mean, one did business, the other sat with the Prophet ﷺ. They covered each other's back. The other sat with the Prophet ﷺ, and the first one stayed back and did business. Yeah. That's the best I can give you. I needed to have that balance. Yeah. I mean, nothing wrong with making money. Absolutely. And that's the message we need to hear, right? Because it can't be, cookie cutter approach to everything. Mm-hmm. Right? Because one person, certain things might fit them better than the other person or different seasons. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a beneficial thing for me, and I hope it is for you and the viewers as well. It's like just hearing that, like puts things in perspective that it is okay if you are money hungry and focused at a seasons of your life versus other seasons you might be knowledge hungry. You know what I mean? And variations of that. So and like maybe for you for the next little bit, you might need to focus more on money to time for this and the time for that. No. Right. So that it's like those things is an important thing. And I think sometimes we tend to lose that unique approach to different people, different situations, and different circumstances. And it's also the line has been a bit. I don't say the line has been good, but the lack of knowledge as well. So we may hear more about focusing on ibadah because a lot of people a lot of Muslims are focused on money. Yeah. So those that are trying to have a balance may not be able to fully resonate with that message. Yeah. Whereas those that are like knee deep into money, and they're bad and their man is weak. Yeah. And they're struggling with their own selves. Absolutely. So no, there definitely has to be a balance. But as you mentioned, different times, someone maybe focus on money, then he focuses on that. Yeah. A lot of what he mentions, the ayah that I had in mind. ولا تنس نصيبك من الدنيا. Yeah. Don't forget your portion of the dunya. Yeah. So, and it's not haram, but we also have to remember a lot of the mention وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون. Ibadah is awwal. That's like baseline. That's the foundation. Worship is the baseline. That's the us. So once you start seeing your worship become blurred or you're not able to get a balance, and that's where you need to put a break on the money to really start focusing. But for those that are trying to get a balance, then I feel like that's what your message. That's who your message is for, basically. That are trying to get a balance. But there is Allah Alam, I can't speak in general terms. Since I've been away for like generally overall speaking over the years, there has been more of a money thing. That is something clear, yani. For example, to make my point clear, the message is packed on Juma. Yeah. But through the week, here's everything. Yeah. It doesn't affect. Yeah. Now that one brother that's there at Juma, but he's also there for Maghrib and Isha at the very least, and occasionally Fajr. And alhamdulillah, that's what the message is. Have that balance. But for those that are only Juma, and then you don't see them through the week, that's all. It's nice to see you even. I'm busy on one thing. You need to look at it.
Absolutely. And I think that's an important point as well, because there are other extremes of the topic at hand about finances and everything. And I think you touched on values and priorities. In general, should money come first or life priorities?
I don't understand the question.
So like money in terms of getting money, managing money, maximizing money, and things of that nature, versus your ibadah, family time, health, and other things of that nature. In general, which one should come first and second? How would you put it in order in terms of like values and priorities?
And there will be a case by case, but and as I mentioned, the upper is that
so life in general sense, the non-financial aspects of life, and then the financial aspect of life is after.
I mean, if I live right in front of the masjid, if I hear the adhan for Fajr at 5 a.m., and I have this business meeting here for this business deal at 5 a.m., I have no choice but to tell I'm going to be 15 minutes late. There's no getting around it. I'm going to be 15 minutes late. So definitely, ibadah is the baseline. Worship is the baseline. There are, of course, exceptions. This is a meeting that was scheduled or something, one-off meeting or something. And you're generally in a masjid for Fajr. If the one-off is going to end before Fajr ends, it's something that person would have to wait. Like the origin, the asl is no, you go to Fajr. Especially if you heard that adhan, you don't have an excuse now. I mean, I would definitely say that. That is the the one that doesn't hear the adhan or something, maybe you have to give them leeway. But the asl is وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون ما أريد منهم من رزق وما أريد أن يطعمون إن الله هو الرزاق ذو القوة. When you put all the ayah together, and I don't do tafsir of ayah, but when you put them all together, you just simply read the translation. The last ayah, إن الله هو الرزاق. So again, the person will have to balance and think about it. Yani. Allah is the ultimate provider. You skip Fajr for this. That's if I got to drive somewhere, I'm going to meet it to this other business meeting or whatever the case. To the airport, so I'm going on a business trip, and I didn't pay Fajr. This it definitely comes down. Of course, there's it's not cookie cutter. A one-off situation or something like that.
Exceptions to the rule, but the rule is with ibadah and everything else, you should put your life first and then the financial aspects of it second. Is there ever a time where it's, whether it's by rule or exception, it's okay to reverse that, meaning put your finances first, take care of that, and then take care of the life aspects of it?
Wow, that would definitely be a question.
Okay.
Definitely be a question. Because that's a question that definitely is asked.
Okay. Inshallah. And those are questions that I struggle with on a regular basis, especially let's say there's a lot of financial need at certain times, and it's like, man. But again, it's like there's. I think one thing I reflect on a lot is there's a difference between values and priorities. Values never change, right? In terms of the right value, but priorities change. Sometimes you might have to be at work before Fajr. But just because Fajr comes first in priority doesn't mean that it's more valued.
Amen.
I mean, work comes first in priority doesn't mean it's more valued than Fajr.
Amen. That's a very good example.
Yeah.
You can't say I'm not going to go to work on time because I need to pray Fajr in the masjid.
Yeah.
In that case, right, you have to go to work, pray Fajr at work. And that would be a case where the ayah mentions, Allah must be allowed to the best of your ability. Yeah. That would be and that's also, of course, the case if you're living in the West, obviously. Yeah. Or even if you live in like in a Muslim country, but Muslim country, they will have a Musalla and everything. You don't have to even worry about that. Yeah. But living in the West, where you're most likely going to pray by yourself, or whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah. You're allowed to the best of it. That's a good example of coming. That's why I said that would be your question definitely require scholarly insight. Mm. Not really like
I have some jabs, but I'll keep it to myself. I'll keep it to myself, inshallah. But Jazakallah khair for that. But would you agree that there is a difference between values and priorities, or is it one of the same? Okay. How would you define values and priorities, and what would you say is the difference?
And a priority is something that, to me, it has a higher level than a value. Like, and give an example that you use, a priority is to pray on time. Okay. A value will be to pray in the masjid. Okay. Yeah. So you have to pray on time, and a value will be to pray in the masjid. If you say you can't pray in the masjid, then we go back to the priority to pray before the time. Okay. Even in the West, something when you set the time, that, that's how it defines. Priorities, you still have to fulfill your priorities, even if the value changes. Okay. And I repeat the statement of the scholar, and those who speak in letters, they're not skilled in what's strange to me.
No. I think there's a lot of value in your insights and what you're saying, even financially, or especially financially, because there's so much to learn from the different aspects of people's relationship with money. You know, um, somebody who may have a lot of money is like still anxious, and you know, and some person that may not have a lot of money, but is at peace with it. So it's like, I guess my question in that, bringing that up, is like, what do you think is the difference between those two? Somebody who, whether they have a lot of money or not, still anxious about money.
Yeah, there's a hadith.
Okay, tell me.
Hadith.
Tell me.
I don't remember word for word.
Yeah.
But the hadith goes, the Prophet said, the meaning of it is that the one who chases the dunya, Allah will put poverty before his eyes. Yeah. So no matter how much he attains, he'll always have that fear. I don't have enough. Yeah. Versus the one who relies upon Allah, Allah will make his affairs easy for him. Grant him. Yeah. He'll be at ease and content. Yeah. So there's an authentic hadith regarding that. The one who chases.
Yeah. I think that's the spot on answer to that particular question. So it's not a matter of, are you working towards it? Do you have a lot of it or not? It's a matter of what are your actual values and priorities. Is it the akhirah or the dunya?
Yeah. That's Sahaba that were rich Sahaba. Yeah. And there's no problem with being rich. Mm-hmm. It's not about being rich. Yeah. Abu Bakr, rich. Yeah. The Sahaba, I forget his name, when the Muhajirin came to Medina. Yeah. He said, I'll divorce one of my women and you give her to me. And I'll give you my half of my house.
Yeah, I remember that.
That indicates he had money, he had wealth. Yeah. Abu Bakr, he said, I take so much wealth that I thought if I turned over a rock, I'd find gold under it. So there was Sahaba that had wealth.
Allah made it facilitated.
No, Allah did open up the dunya for it. Yeah. But their goal was never the dunya. Yeah. They were never chasing the dunya.
Right. So therefore,
Allah gave it to them.
Yeah.
Abu Hurairah, he was poor. He was from Ahl Suffah. He was the poorest of the Sahaba.
Yeah.
And there's an after where he blew his nose and forget the type of fabric, the fine fabric. And also when Umar he conquered, I forget which place. I don't want to make a mistake, but he conquered one of the cities or so in the
Jerusalem.
Yeah. And all the goods and all that, the booty and all that came to him.
Okay,
and
maybe it's different than I thought.
now he started crying. So they asked him, why are you crying? This is a good day.
Yeah.
And he mentioned the fitna of the wealth that's coming.
Yeah.
Another Sahaba, he became afraid, saying, I fear that Allah has given me my due. It's rewarding me with all that He has blessed me with, and He won't give me anything else. So there was Sahaba, many Sahaba, and even from the Salaf that had wealth, but that was not their goal. And their goal was ibadah, and a lot of that, they took the means, and a lot of that limited.
Yeah. And they saw the blessings of this dunya as a threat to their akhirah potential.
That's how some of them looked at it. There's the case of Aisha, because Aisha, or maybe there's two after, where there's money that came. There was Aisha, money that came. She did not sleep until she distributed all of it. Then her slave girl came to her, so I believe she had a garment was ripped or something. So he said, why didn't you take from, at least one dinar to patch this? Didn't know about that. Yeah, there's more concern about protecting her was distributing all of it. Yeah. And even I've heard that it's not popular to say that the Prophet Muhammad was poor, rather he constantly gave sadaqah. Yeah. So as far as like gathering wealth and having we said like gold shouldn't be gathering wealth. If someone wants to gather wealth, but their focus should be on being righteous servant. Absolutely. If it comes to them, alhamdulillah, they take it. Someone who's working, he's not compromising on his deen, generally speaking, and he's going in the corporate position. He may get a promotion. Yeah. He may get an increase or whatnot. He's doing a good job. He's doing a good job. He may get an increase. But he would be careful. No, I don't want to take this. Yeah. He takes it. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. When it comes to your tenure in Medina, the 7 years that you were there, what were some of and to whatever you're comfortable sharing, just for informational purposes and trying to inspire people to learn from things of that nature, what were the biggest struggle financially? And what was on the opposite of that, like the biggest blessing or success financially during your tenure? Biggest struggle again was not having money to pay books. Yeah. I've been budgeting for a while. Okay. Budget quite often. Yeah. Budgeting. I got used to not having much money. Yeah. Yeah. I've had times where I've had pennies in the bank, and there's still 3 days before payday or 2 days before payday. Yeah. So I've gotten used to it. I lived with not having much before going to Medina. In Medina? Oh, before. Okay. I got you. Personal note, there's been times I slept in my car because I didn't have enough gas to go back home and then make it to work the next day. Yeah. So I've experienced not having money, not having enough money. Yeah. So being in Medina, there were times where I didn't have much, but I had already bought the restaurant for the rest of the week. The most extreme case the next 2 weeks. Yeah. And like I said, everything, all I need is the university and to get the semester Nabawi. Yeah. Semester Nabawi is free. Yeah. Inshallah. So my biggest complaint was stopping in the bookstore, and no matter how much I dig, I just don't have that, that extra 10 riyal or 1 riyal or however many riyals to buy this book. Yeah. Those are my biggest things. And the biggest blessing is alhamdulillah is brothers that have supported me financially and sent me money here and there. Yeah. And to be able to buy books, and not just for me, alhamdulillah, to be able to help other students. Yeah. I have colleagues and my brothers that I became good friends with. And I know they like books. Yeah. But I went to the bookstore with me, and all we had was mut'am money, restaurant money. Yeah. And we like after that, the bookstore with books. Yeah. Right? So I don't have any money to eat. Yeah. I will be okay. Alhamdulillah, I'm okay. Alhamdulillah. Years later, I'm okay. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. Hindsight. So, I know other brothers, they want books. So this, be able to get together. Also to travel to Riyadh, to get free books, just to be able to get together. Those are the upside of that. Okay. Yeah. Main clear with students. And what's your advice financially for students of knowledge and scholarly individuals who are in that pursuit regarding going to Medina or anywhere else? What's your advice financially? To be comfortable is not having much.
Okay.
You're able to be comfortable not having much.
Yeah.
Mentally, you're going. Yeah. You're able to focus more on your stuff.
Yeah.
For students that are like in Medina and that like have a monthly stipend,
yeah,
the focus shouldn't be on when the next stipend is coming.
Yeah.
The focus should be on their studies. Yeah. Focus on studies, focus on reviewing, focus on halakhat. Don't be focused on that. For those that are like in Egypt or Morocco or other places where the word that they have to have some type of income,
Yeah.
Just be content with not having enough. Yeah, food is still very cheap.
Yeah.
If you're able to eat a little bit, focus on your studies. And there's stories that are they really help keep students motivated. Like
Yeah.
and he had a companion that he would travel with or that he would study with. He used to be so engrossed in his studies they didn't even have time to cook their food. One of them, Sheikh, he was sick.
Yeah.
So they didn't have a duck that day. So when we went back, we passed by market, bought a fish. After 3 days before them cooking, they didn't have time to cook it.
Yeah.
We had Imam al-Bukhari, his rihlat, traveling to Sheikh Jamal. Many other stories. I don't want to get them mixed up who's who, but we have many stories of the Salaf where they have money.
Yeah.
In our present day and time, one of them, especially mentioned, he had to sell his car for books. He sold his car. He bought like a older model. His father was not happy with him. Yeah. But he had to for the books. The stories of some of the scholars, like recent times, selling their house for books. They had Sheikh Jamal in the Saudi. He took a loan for like rare manuscripts. Sheikh bin Baz, who was the president of the Jamia at the time, he said this one man outdid us because he went to the Jamia Samia first, like, I need this money for these manuscripts. I can't help you. Way out of our budget. We don't have the budget. But he managed to get the money. He took a loan, if I'm not mistaken, and bought it. So Sheikh bin Baz, he said this one man outdid the entire university. We have like modern day stories of those who were focused on knowledge, and either they didn't have it, or if there was something really important that they needed, they would do whatever they could, they would sell whatever they had to get these books. Focus with knowledge. Yeah. They're those that chase knowledge and allow them to take away from it.
Yeah. And that's very valuable not only for the student of knowledge and potential Islamic scholar, but just the everyday person, to learn to live with a little, to prioritize what needs to be prioritized. Because at the end of the day, for for the better, for the most part, maybe sometimes worse, things will work out.
I mean, our risk is written for us.
Yeah,
it's written for us.
Yeah,
and I mean, a mindset that we have in America, a lot of Americans, is that a lot of Americans, and compared to the Muslims, we live above our needs, and that's why we have a big issue that we have. We're not comfortable with having less. We're not comfortable with not having at all. Yeah. Right? So we live above our needs, and it's mainly for confidence. Yeah. There's some understanding to that, but it doesn't. It's not an excuse to fall into haram. Yeah. Like I need an excuse like the bus and train system method. Yeah. And it's like, right, the bus and yeah. I need a car. Yeah. So what they do? They go take a loan for a car. Yeah. The bus and the train that takes them right where they. So we're used to living above our needs for confidence. Yeah. And we make all the excuses in the book on why we can't live at our needs or even have. Yeah. So that's just the mentality that living here in America. It's something to break away from. Be comfortable having less and keep in mind a lot of them who have less.
Absolutely. And that's very beneficial, man, because that's a lot of students, whether they're going into studies, in studies, or out of studies, or whatever, or anybody else, like those are principles that we should all live by, which speaks to living within your means, in other words. So don't go above your means and things. Jazakallah khair for that.
Those that really want financial freedom and to increase in their finances, that's like the easiest route, just the within your means. Yeah. Live with less, your money will increase. Yeah. You can do more.
As simple as that sounds, that's literally the answer. Yeah.
You can do more favor with your money.
Yeah.
Don't be from those that count, that gather the money and count it. Yeah. Spend it and say it. Spend your money and allow the devil to replace it better. Yeah. There's many people that's living testimony to gave their last bit and that's all other than replaced it. More. One brother, he met me, and he told me, like, anything, and he was prepared to get married. Like,
Yeah.
Those that get married, a lot of them will increase them.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, I didn't have anything. I got married, and now money is coming from all over the place.
Yeah.
I was actually giving him money at the time. It was a refund, yeah. It was a refund. I helped him with something.
Yeah.
He had a refund.
Yeah.
So I had just randomly met him.
Yeah.
It's a long story behind it, random, but I randomly met him. I came back to Medina.
Yeah.
I was, oh yeah, so this for you. Yeah, this is your money here.
Yeah.
And then he told me, I got married, and this is coming from all over the place.
Subhanallah.
So having that doing in the logic.
What's your earliest memory of money and finances?
Earliest memory.
Yeah.
Money. When I moved out. When I got my own apartment.
Okay. That's your earliest memory about money and finances?
Yeah. As far as like finances.
Yeah.
Budgeting and having money, making money, spending money.
Yeah.
When I got my own
apartment.
Okay. I'll be more precise. When I got the credit
card. Okay.
And then I realized the traps
having
a credit card. It's so easy to spend what you don't have.
Right. Thinking that it's your money to spend.
Pay it back easy.
Yeah.
So easy. I have money. I have a job.
Yeah.
And then everything else comes along and you have a lot less money than what you initially thought you. Yeah. And it happens every single time. Yeah. That's one of the traps. One of the traps you step on, one of the traps. It happens every single time. For majority of people. I don't know a number statistic, but majority of people. Pay it back, no problem. And then everything to pay it back, don't have it. Yeah. That's one of my earliest memories.
How did that shape you now?
Yeah, I would never, ever be able to get another day. Cut them up, and they actually forced me to close them. But in the fight, they wouldn't let me die. They would not let me close them. Not let me close them.
Like they're like
this, try that. Just think about it. You know what? We'll lower your interest rate. He would not let me close it. Not let me close it.
Yeah.
So I didn't hang up until I closed it. Yeah. And he gave me a really hard. Really hard.
Yeah.
They bumped me from 4,000 to 10,000. That's
yeah, because you don't have enough limit. That's what they're thinking.
I have not spent this time. I've not spent anything in the car for years. Yeah. I've been paying it off. Yeah. But he don't let me close it. I have shaitan from the ins and shaitan from the bin. I even thought I'm Muslim. I don't deal in interest. This and that. I managed to find the close. I had a balance still on it, but I found you can still close it with a balance. So he was trying to test it to 0%, and then all this nonsense and all. Yeah. Try this, maybe that, maybe this. Okay, I understand, but so my lesson learned. Never ever do it. Anything with interest. Credit card is
it's an important lesson for anybody, especially a Muslim.
There's wisdom where a lot of people prohibited it. Yeah. You may not see it at the time, you may not recognize it or understand it at the time. Yeah. But at the very least, a lot of people read it. Yeah. It requires fighting it yourself.
Any other earlier memories than that? Maybe as a child? Yeah. So you weren't thinking or worried about money before that, or didn't have any experiences with money?
Didn't have any. Me personally, I didn't have any.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't really start thinking like money back.
Yeah. I mean, I could say the same, but for me, I remember like the earliest memory in money, or memory about money and finances was when I was like around 3, 4 years old. When we were given money,
like aid gift or something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we were given money, and then the older boys in the family were trying to take it from everybody else. So
okay.
They were able to easily take it from everybody else but me.
Okay.
So stuff like that.
In that case, now my grandfather, he used to give us $1 on Juma.
Oh, every Juma.
Every Juma.
MashaAllah.
And we'd have to ask him. And then he'd joke with us, you want $1? And then you want to holler? Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And then he would give us $1.
Yeah.
So alhamdulillah, we used to save, me and my brother,
Yeah.
my younger brother, we used to try to save our dollars. When we got $3, 3 weeks later, we buy beans.
Mashallah.
That's the used to sell beans.
Yeah.
So now,
In Maryland or
this is in Maryland.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I do remember that.
Okay. Okay. That's
So
kind of what I was.
That's my earliest experience with money. We were young.
Yeah. What any other experience with money? Part of your earliest experience with money or finance?
That would probably be the only.
The only one.
My grandfather.
Okay. The other one that I remember early is another time we got like a large amount of money back then, right? And this is in Ethiopia, I believe. And I was just so happy and went out to the market. You know, sugar canes, right? As a kid, 2 sugar canes, right? Somebody's offering you for something that I could probably buy like 20 of them. I paid that amount or more.
So you had money now.
Yeah. So I paid that, you know, and it came back skipping home and they're like, what is this? You know, I paid my money. All of it? You know, you paid all of your money for these two. So to me, I thought I got the best deal in the world. But the family realizing I just got, you know, scammed and swindled and everything else, that's something that I always remember, you know, just to be a little bit more aware about, you know, the dealings and whether it's a good deal or not. And, you know, so stuff like that I pay a little bit more attention to because of that, you know, early memory of, you know, money and finances and things of that nature. So those are like the two earliest ones that I remember personally. So
I don't know if it's proper to ask you questions then. I know there's like
yeah, problem.
I'm the guest here.
Yeah.
But would you say that shaped your perspective as far as if you happen to come across like a larger sum of money?
Yeah.
Tax return or something like a sum of money at one point that you make sure you realize, okay, just because I have this extra money doesn't mean life is cheaper now.
Yeah.
You can go just buy things. Whether you see gas now for $4,
yeah,
and you used to look for $3.50, $3.20 now, $4 is that bad.
Yeah.
So now that you've had that experience, you ponder a bit and you realize, oh, $4. It's helpful.
Unknowingly, now that you ask that question, it definitely did. Yeah, because no matter what, like obviously there are times where I, you know, a little bit more free with spending and things like that, depending on the situation. If there is a lot of money versus not, but I try to keep that default of my what that lesson of my childhood taught me is like just be wise with your money.
So you know, remember I do it. You mentioned and last time he mentioned that some beautiful lines that he spoke. Yeah. He discussed it like that. God is the one who creates the Quran, who possesses the Quran. Yeah. The one who remembers the Quran. He mentions that from his characteristics that when he has money, it's shown. He spends it.
Oh, okay.
And when he doesn't have money, he withholds. And he doesn't spend what he doesn't have. He lives within his means.
Yeah.
When he has it, he's not tight-fisted. Yeah. And when he doesn't have it, he's not just free.
Yeah. Which is an important lesson, right? Is to always live within your means. And I remember this book called The Power of Broke, which essentially talks about no matter how much money you have, still be wise with your money as if you are broke and make decisions and moves like that. So essentially you never go broke, you know. So those are things that for some reason, and as a man, the difference between, from what I've seen generally with finances between a man and a woman is the man is more future focused and always trying to reach that future goal. So it's easier to stay disciplined and live within your means in a sense. Whereas generally speaking, for a woman, she's more focused on the now. So she's more willing to just, yeah. So enjoying and things, and that's more generalization. Is not being, you know, genderist or whatever it's called. It's just general observations, and I'm pretty sure that I've spoken with, you know, both men and women about this, and they've agreed that. Now, are there exceptions to that rule or that tendency? Yeah, for sure. There are some
guys that you see the latest car, the latest
spend it frivolously, yeah.
The wife is the one getting on them.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
we got to build a pay next month.
Yeah. So there are those, but generally speaking, that's what I've noticed between, you know, so that's kind of like the way that I've been shaped by my earliest memories about money, which in a sense is a good thing, but then in another sense, you know, marriage kind of teaches you enjoy the now too, you know, spend on the now and appreciate what's happening, you know, enjoy, as long as it's within your means is not a problem, right? So that's kind of like the things that kind of
يعني إنما الأعمال بالنيات. يعني the based on intention.
yeah,
When you spend, especially in your family, with the intention of ibadah,
yeah,
it's wajib to take care of the family.
absolutely. And that's one thing that the lessons that you shared with me about spending this, spending that, and the things that you send is very powerful for me because there's things that I was missing that those lessons have filled for me. Like the last one about the shipping that I sent you, and then you sent me that hadith.
I know.
Yeah, I was like, subhanallah, it's
You know
such
best
a
what to do with your dinar.
yeah, you know. So that has a lot of wisdom. I don't know if you, from your side, you saw how deep that was for me, in that particular moment. It was very deep because it taught me the values and priorities of finances and not to always overlook yourself in certain circumstances and situations. You have to see yourself when it comes to finances or in life.
Even the Prophet said if you want to give Umar something,
Yeah,
I believe like money or something of value,
yeah,
and Umar been declined it. Prophet said to him, take it, use it.
yeah,
And he said, someone gives you something, they take it.
yeah,
So at times we're humble, that someone comes to give us something, then the Prophet edifices it.
yeah. Being a good receiver, not just a giver. Yeah, that's a lesson I learned from a book, but it's always important to learn it from a secular book. It's always important to learn it from a sacred book and lessons,
Right?
like the Hadith and the Quran and the scholars and things of that nature.
You'll find most, not everything in secular books, in all aspects of life,
stemming
you can
from
find somewhere in the Quran.
for sure, for sure. And I think that's one thing that maybe even like 10 years ago you taught me that I remember vividly. That there's always a lesson from you know I remember when I was like, there's not really much money lessons in the Quran, and then you advised me like, okay, look at this ayah, look at this verse, look at this verse. So just even that, it gives you the perspective that you can find everything that you need sacredly, not having to be. It's okay, right, to gain perspective, but don't over prioritize it. Yeah.
There's no problem reading this book.
Yeah.
Secular books.
Absolutely.
I still stand by my similar everything in the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything in the book.
Sometimes, unfortunately, we forget.
Now, the hadith explains what's in the Quran, and of course, it brings details.
Yeah.
But generally, overall speaking, you just got to read it.
Yeah.
You just got to read it.
Absolutely. Jazakallah khair for that. The other question for me for you is, what are your financial goals and dreams currently?
Goals and dreams currently.
Or what you feel comfortable doing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything big.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah, literally.
My goal is to, get to work, to get a car, to get to the
Yeah.
and
Those are your goals and dreams essentially as of
I
right
would
now.
say dreams, but just goals.
Okay. What are the dreams?
I have some dreams, but I wouldn't say I have any financial dreams at the moment.
Okay.
I guess financially, I would like to be able to buy enough money to take my family, all of my relatives, mother, my siblings, all go for family Umrah.
Okay.
That's the dream.
Mashallah.
Like a nice trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice trip. Go close to the Haram. Close to the Nabawi. Yeah, out in the day out. Nice trip, not rush.
Yeah.
That would be like a dream, financial dream.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mashallah. Anything else that you can think about? Those are the top two for now.
Okay.
One goal, one dream.
One goal, one dream.
That's the best way to accomplish it. Then the next one's open up, right?
Yeah,
and then
if there's any more, then I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I know that's the same. Job, car, next week.
Before I get to the top three financial advice that you have, and the acknowledgement, and then the final question, I wanted to know, and maybe this leads up to the other questions, but what's been your biggest financial mistake?
Getting into debt with it.
Okay.
Cliche maybe, but been my biggest financial mistake.
Okay. Um, Understandable, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people, and we can all learn from it and try to make amends with that. In terms of the biggest financial success, what would you say that has been?
Um, haven't done it as much, but the biggest financial success I'm quite sure will be living in America. Interesting, mostly debt free, but
Okay.
living in America because I do feel actually I've heard this a lot from
Yeah.
and I do feel that it's still the case that very hard or live in America, good life, I guess, in America. I have an impact on
Yeah.
out there. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, I've read like some anonymous reference internet and they did that there is and there's a lot of alternatives and options that are I guess hidden. You have to dig for them.
Yeah.
But there are options out there. There are ways and methods of doing things.
Yeah.
There's a brother I know, Georgia. He bought a brand new, I don't know the vehicle, like a Jeep or something. Brand new. From the dealership. I want to say Ford or Chevy or something.
Yeah.
Big dealership, not, off brand.
Right.
0%. And I asked him, how did you do that? I just spoke with him. I told him, I'm Muslim. I really want this vehicle, but I'm not going to give you any of interest. I spoke with him.
On the payment.
Now he's making payment.
Yeah.
0%.
Yeah.
And have everything to believe him. So it's possible. So my biggest goal is to live that life while I'm here in America.
Yeah.
Now, until I get back into Muslim country,
Yeah.
it's to live debt free.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Interest free. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Generally speaking, there's nothing wrong with taking a loan. Interest.
And that distinction is appreciated because sometimes people like to brush it with the same
Hey
brush.
now. Yeah. There is a big thing.
Okay. So looking at two opposite people, and then we'll get into like the final few questions. Say somebody is like very like in one of the worst seasons of their life financially, and they're going through it left and right. Every problem that could potentially happen is happening, and they're dealing with it like as deep as it could get. What's your advice for that individual? Yeah, yeah. Be taqwa of Allah. Be God conscious. Yeah.
With that, of course, comes patience.
Yeah.
Now you have a taqwa.
Yeah.
And you like relative, they, doing good.
Yeah.
And then they just got too much. Credit card offers kept coming. Signed up, approved, and how. And they're still struggling to get paid.
Yeah.
They put their letter down. They trust in him.
Yeah.
Rely upon him. Notice the best from Allah Azza to get a way out.
Yeah.
They take 3 months, and they take 3 years, and they take 30 years. End of the day, as long as you do what Allah Azza commands, it's always going to get it. Progress.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm thinking from like a secular perspective where somebody says, okay, what about working hard and making money and chasing money and setting financial goals, you know? Because Allah protect us, there are certain individuals who tend to lean on the secular aspects rather than the sacred. So how do you balance those two?
يعني the person takes the lead.
Yeah. Fire camel.
No, and from that aspect, I apologize for kind of leading into it again, but they find halal work. There is work they may find, but it's not halal, but it's quick work.
Yeah.
So they find halal work. They, they put themselves out there, but they try to talk with the community.
Yeah.
That's where it comes. One of the benefits of being part of the community, others, to work.
Yeah.
Definitely struggling to find something and doing your best to make it.
Yeah.
And just grab something because everything life is a test. Yeah. Right? The journey is a test. Yeah. And a lot of it is brokenness and how we act in it. Yeah. So now there's someone struggling, again we go, you don't see the brother in the masjid, but he's struggling, he's doing this job, doing that job, doing that. And then as long as he's making set up, mm-hmm. It'll make it easy for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate you, tying everything to Dean. And I struggle with sometimes making sure that I stay on that, right? But then I know a lot more people are struggling with otherwise, where the Dean is not even a concern, where it's just money, 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 which speaks to the other hadith that you talked about. Are you prioritizing the dunya or the akhirah? And what is your reality in those situations? Yeah, it's important.
I'm sure there's like also answers that from a secular dunya standpoint as well. Yeah. The scholar said when he speaks about it that he doesn't have knowledge of it's a strange thing.
Yeah. Strange in meaning good in this situation.
No, no, yeah, he will say things that don't make sense. Or, yeah. No, what I mean is, Yani, there may be more detailed answers. Right. Someone struggling there. There could be someone that can give a more detailed. Right. Versus just finding it. I mean, someone who's struggling is fine. Obviously, he's looking for it. Yeah. Trying, he's struggling, he's going here, he's applying, he's this and that. Yeah. He needs some details now. General answers don't outfit. Yeah. And that one, I understand that. Because many times I've had situations where I need detail, anything general. Yeah. I understand that could be extremely frustrating. Like, I would rather someone give me something general and say, I apologize, I help you, versus telling me something general. Yeah. Which I've heard as well.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. But, I think what I meant from me in terms of like something that may seem strange is actually the right answer that people should look for. Mm-hmm. At the very least, primarily. And then whatever else in addition to that you can look for. So, that's what I believe, that you're telling people the primary answers rather than secondary, tertiary, or whatever.
No.
You know what I mean?
I think keep it general. Yeah. There may be, there's of course a better answer.
Yeah. No, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Now, looking at the opposite individual, somebody who's like financially successful, everything that they turn over, they might be finding gold. Yeah. So, money's coming in left and right, piling up. There's probably more money than they know what to do with. What's your advice for that individual?
Go on to explain myself with similar question. Yeah. He says, since I have a really good life, I don't have any troubles or problems in my life. Yeah. How do I understand that when a lot of them mention that? I don't even get a full answer from the question. The question reminded me to go back. Yeah. But it's just from the answer he gave us to realize that there's a blessing from Allah there. There's people that are alive that He blessed us with. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. As long as you realize it's a blessing from Allah there, and you thank Him by using your money in khayr, yeah, and that's from thanking Him, yeah, He will increase it. And to not be guilt tripping. Sometimes they get so guilty or whatnot, the money or something. Yeah. A negative aspect. It may not be the best in that ibadah. So they feel guilty of having it. As long as you realize there's some Allah that look at that. Yeah. If you're someone weak in salah, if you're someone weak in one thing, there's many avenues that you can use money, many avenues that you can spend your money. Taking care of yourself and your family first and foremost. Yeah. Charity, going for Hajj, Umrah, making a vacation to a Muslim country, give it back to the Muslim economy, mm-hmm. There's many different avenues. So that they recognize this is the blessing from Allah, they spend the money and say, yeah. And again, the ayah says that not to be tight-fisted and not to be open-fisted. They have balance in that. Yeah. Don't go to both extremes. And don't go to both extremes. Yeah. And we have Umar bin Abu Bakr. Yeah. Everyone is different. We're not on their level. Yeah. But even they're not on the same level. Yeah. Abu Bakr gave everything. Yeah.
Half versus all.
Abu Bakr with half. Yeah. Abu Bakr gave with everything. Yeah. So we realize our level and we handle it. Balance in the unity. Yeah.
Absolutely.
First class plane ticket to Muslim country for vacation.
Yeah.
That's nothing wrong.
Yeah. And that's a good reminder. On the back of that, what I'm wondering is, how do you know if financial blessings is an actual blessing or a curse or a burden?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Yeah, because that's one thing that kept popping up in my head as you were answering. Because you're answering from the perspective of it's a blessing and see it as that and approach as that. So how do you know the difference if it's a blessing or a curse?
That's a very good question. But one giveaway that it's not a blessing is that it's making, if you're weak in your that you're struggling to keep with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're struggling to be good to your family and not be taking care of your family. I don't mean financially, otherwise, financially. But you're struggling as far as your being, and it's definitely not to be a testament.
Yeah. Okay. That puts it in perspective for sure. So if it is making you worse in terms of being in worship in your akhlaq, that's most likely not a blessing. Okay. And if it is increasing you in your being in worship in akhlaq and other means of goodness in your life, and your financial blessing is increasing, and that's what is generally an indication of.
Allah, I wouldn't even say increasing, but if you're maintaining your ibadah.
Yeah.
Of course, if you're increasing, it's fair.
Right.
But at the very least, you're maintaining your ibadah. Like you haven't let this stop you from your ibadah.
Yeah.
Put a dent in your ibadah.
Mm-hmm.
At the very least, you're maintaining. Yeah. And there's also, Allah, He will increase people in good to punish them for that. If you have to do it.
Yeah.
Like they may be getting either the blessing. Like, ain't even praying during Allah's giving you.
Yeah.
That's against you, not for you.
Yeah.
Some people they don't know that. But no, Allah, He will increase people as a punishment for them.
Yeah.
As a proof against them.
And your worship is generally speaking an indication of that. Are you keeping at least enough, if not, like you said, increasing, but are you maintaining at least enough? If that's the case, then whatever blessings that you have, as long as it's halal, alhamdulillah, the blessing.
Shukr, part of shukr is to do the actions. Whatever Allah has blessed you, Allah bless with money. Part of giving thanks for that is to use it.
Yeah.
So the one who doesn't use it, he's not being truly thankful.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. The question before the final question, is the top 3 nasiha, but not, since we already addressed the life aspect of it, now we're going to address the financial aspect of it. This is me and you's last day, and you only have top three advice that you can give regarding finances to Muslim or others, what would they be?
Take the halal money.
Okay.
Remember your purpose. Remember your purpose.
Remember your purpose in life.
Now. Value purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. MashaAllah.
I say the last one, I'll be honest, because one point, I don't know where I got this mindset. Into any particular person or list or anything.
Yeah.
But I did have a mindset that extra money has to be given to set up. Masjid, whatever. The money has to be. And alhamdulillah, I've learned, even before I went to Medina, learned recent years. Yeah. Your family is, good. And yourself and your family is good. And then afterwards, after that, you get. Now, there are times when you may give a sadaqah over your family, finishing up, trying to build a project, trying to build a but generally, often you get yourself in your family. Yeah. Good to you.
And then whatever overflows from that,
that's what you give to help. And maybe help out. Yeah. That's why I emphasize yourself. Yeah. Mashallah. Focus, don't forget your faith. Money from halal means, and you do it.
That's great financial advice, and I really appreciate you answering these questions. And to acknowledge, before I ask you that final question, is that sometimes there's a lot, not sometimes, there's a lot of financial wisdom that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you to have. And I've seen you in different circumstances and situations in your life. But no matter where you are financially, as long as Allah has given you contentment, which I've seen and believe that you have, mashallah, I ask Allah to increase that for you, as well as any other good or blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has for you. Barakallah. Thank you very much for that. The final question is, what is financial freedom to you?
What is financial freedom?
Yeah.
There's no normal answer to this question.
No. It's uniquely you, Sheikh Jamal.
But I'll put it more on the dunyawi aspect.
Okay. Switching it up a little bit?
I'll put it more on the dunyawi aspect. Financial freedom is the ability to have all of your bills paid at the end of the month. A little bit of extra money. How much a lot?
Yeah.
To have all your bills paid, a little bit of paid. I can say that financial freedom.
Actively or passively? Actively is like you're actually working to make that money. Passively is like the money's coming in without you having to work for it.
It's a bit high level.
Okay.
Of course, passively will be
better,
answer, but no, for me, either way.
Okay. So even actively,
I mean, the ultimate result for anyone would be passive income, so you can focus on other.
Yeah.
But for the majority of people, we're going to be working most, if not all of them,
right,
to retirement. So that's why I answered it.
Yeah.
I mean, just thinking of myself personally, I'm not really one that's looking to get up to that high level. I'm making a lot of money, or I don't have that entrepreneurial mindset to where I can figure out a way to get passive income.
Yeah.
So answering it from my perspective, from a dunyawi aspect, if I can have enough money, pay off my bills every month, I have some extra in my pocket. Allah how much extra? I'm good. I feel like that's financial freedom.
That's a good definition, but for some reason, I'm wanting to know the sacred perspective of it. Is there something that you have that you thought about in regards to financial freedom aside from the dunya aspect?
The dunya aspect.
Yeah, because I think I'd be beating myself over if I didn't ask you for that part of it too.
Pretty much the same thing. Yeah. Except to not really have that, to not really give focus to it, not really have a mindset of, especially coming from Medina now, my goals sort of shifted from career oriented to being as of course there's a financial aspect, but not there isn't so much financial focus anymore.
Yeah.
Someone that makes enough money to where they can be in a masjid or financial freedom from a deen aspect, if you're able to have enough money to be in a masjid for 4 out of 5, even in the 4 out of 5 salawat, you're able to pay your bills.
I appreciate that because for some reason, I just needed to hear the other aspect of it too, the deen aspect, not just the dunya aspect.
You can give a huge focus, a high amount of focus on ibadah, not even just being in masjid, but being able to study or having free time to study, to read Quran.
Yeah.
Something having the ability to go for Umrah for a week, 2 weeks.
May Allah grant you financial freedom, not only in the dunya aspect, but more importantly in the akhirah aspect for you and your loved ones. Jazakallah khair for giving me the privilege to interview you. I know this has been a long time coming, but I really, really appreciate you being on the Ridwanullah Money Show.
It's been a pleasure. I've definitely benefited and learned quite a bit.
Yeah.
And
likewise. Alhamdulillah, it's been phenomenal, man. I really appreciate your time and may Allah increase it for you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.